Hello, hello, hello. Testing. All right. Okay, well, I lost everyone, but they're starting to come back already. Great. Let's see. This is being slow to catch up. Okay, I'm glad to hear. Yeah, it's a shame to shed all my viewers like that, but on the other hand, it would be an even bigger shame to lose 40 minutes of pristine, great footage. And I had a technical hiccup. Uh, I I got through my last stream and YouTube wouldn't let me save it immediately. I don't know if YouTube is processing the footage or what it's doing, but let's see. Um, okay, I'm getting contradictory information here on my control panel, so bear with me while I try to look and see what it's. Oh no. This thing is so sensitive. Yeah, I'm struggling with my setup. I'm still going to have to learn better how to set up my monitors to make this work, I guess. Um, okay, so hopefully I'm broadcasting something here. Oh, you stop doing that. Okay, let's see. Well, at least I think I can bring back my fort. Oh, okay. All right. Now the information seems to be good. Okay, so hopefully my fort's coming back. All right. Well, sorry about that, everyone, but I see I'm unlosing the people I lost, and so I'm just going to keep plowing forward. Thank you very much for bearing with me. This has been very much a learning experience, but it's also fun and educational, and I'm sharing with people, and people who are not my viewers right now will hopefully see this in the future and be entertained by it, because I have so much to share, partly because I have so many hours in this. I have hours of video. These places have a history to me. These characters have a backstory to me. I know their stories well. I mean, for instance, I can click on this guy, and I recognize them. It's the mayor. It's Osage, and let's see, what can we learn about Osage? Uh, well, for one thing, their dwarven name is Osage Cuddle Romances, so you would think they would be a cuddly kind of person. Um, and they are friendly with a large number of people in the fort, but uh, they have all sorts of interesting personality traits. Like I can look at the screen here and tell what they've been doing. For instance, he was delighted after watching the performance. He says, I saw Grizzly Adams' die charm recite Guard in the Sludge at the Cheerful Mushroom, which is one of our several taverns. He says, I feel delight. Um, he's happy because he's been goofing off a lot lately. He felt fondness talking with a friend. He was interested near a fine table. He was interested near a completely sublime container. He was ambivalent after the delayed punishment of a criminal. Oh no. Well, perhaps I should touch on that briefly. My dwarven justice system was basically turned off after I tried to have dwarven justice, and a bunch of people got beaten up for no reason. And uh, usually my mayor doesn't ask for a whole lot of things, and he asked for a bunch of stuff, and I just plain missed it. And then he started labeling people as criminals because of that. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. I don't care about justice in the dwarven sense of the word, which is madness. The dwarves are just sort of a crazy lot, and they pick people to get beaten up. And I had someone in charge of that, and I tried to give them a adamantine hammer, which would be the lightest material in the world, basically, to beat people with. And Well, my chosen hammerer wasn't doing it, so my champion of the guard decided to do it instead. And of course, they were a great warrior, and they were going around beating the crap out of people. I couldn't have that anymore. So I tried firing them, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just turn Dwarven Justice off, and that's what's going to happen. Um, let's see. How are we doing for time here? Okay. I think I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes, and then I'm gonna. Yeah, see, I got some agreement with that. I'm not the only people in the world struggling with Dwarven Justice. They are mad. They are mad little people. So let me tell stories about other people I see here that jump out at me, if any do. Oh, here's a planter. Uh, oh, let's see. I wonder if there's any good things in the sculpture garden to talk about. Uh, oh, um, let's see. What is this about? Oh, I'm looking at a guy, not a thing. Is this anything? Let's see. Description of a creature. Oh, yes. This is an exceptional siltstone statue of Bax Stealthwealthy. The item is an exceptionally designed image of Bax Stealthwealthy the elf, and Slatebolt the dwarf in siltstone. Bax Stealthwealthy is making a plaintive gesture. Slatebolt is striking a menacing pose. The artwork relates to the mortal wounding of the elf, Bax Stealthwealthy, by the dwarf Slatebolt, with Veiled Bone, the Rod of Meetings, in Swampcavern in the early winter of 130 during Does Muddamas, the Scalded Attack. Man, try saying that 5 times fast. But anyways, that probably doesn't mean much to you because it's a bunch of gibberish, but let me translate it. The dwarf Slate Bolt, who is obviously a guy who likes slate and bolts, I know my own naming conventions that well, has a named weapon. And he named that weapon because he likes it so much. The early winter of 130 would have been 5 years after Swampcavern's founding. So we would have had noob military guys, and we would have had already a bunch of attacks by a bunch of crazy creatures by then. So we probably had some wounded military guys, some not great military guys. 5 years in, we wouldn't have had adamantine, but we had steel in Swampcavern year one. We had steel armor and weapons going by year two. So by year 5, we would have had some master axe users by then. They would have trained up enough to be really good at what they do, and a few good crossbow teams. But that would have been about it. We would have only had a few spear guys, only a few hammer guys. Although they would have been using silver weapons and stuff, so that'd be going good. Yeah, there's such, I was all proud about making an adamantine axe for the justice, or adamantine hammer, and then we had a strange mood from a weaponsmith, and I got all excited, and they made an adamantine hammer, and I'm like, no, we already have one of those. And then we had a few more strange moods. We had steel strange moods that resulted in, I don't know, a steel door or whatever. But then we had another adamantine strange mood. And what did we get? Another adamantine hammer. And I'm like, oh man, you guys are just killing me. Are you doing this because I told you to make the one? Because it's like a cork bat or a foam bat. It's like a child's toy going around just bapping doors. Bap, bap, bap. But apparently the hammer that you assign to them is not the hammer they use for justice. And I saw someone point that out on a forum post, and I'm like, oh, well, that explains everything. That explains every fort where I've assigned one of those to them and they didn't use it. So I'm like, well, that's why that consistently kept happening. So yeah, I'm sure if I went and looked at the justice system right now, it'd be nothing but complaints about 10 years ago you sold something you shouldn't have, and more recently you didn't make something I asked you to, because the little message flashed across the bottom of the screen, and I just plain missed it. But let's see if there's any other famous dwarves walking around. Lucky the peasant? No, I don't think so. Dabbling animal trainer. Lamoon the siege engineer. Well, you're legendary. You're a legendary Marksdwarf. Should we go look at either your skills or your kills list? Because that might be entertaining either one. Mostly because a lot of these guys, they're great at stuff, and then they're good at things you wouldn't expect, and you ask them, when did you have time to do that? When in your dwarfy life? Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the artifacts in the game are one of my favorite things. I have these guys set to making jewelry artifacts, which are nearly as good as the ones they crank out in Strange Moods. And they're certainly as elaborate or more elaborate, because what they do is they take a jewelry thing out of the pile, they add a gem to it, and they put it back in the jewelry pile. And they're not real fussy about which is which. So some of them are new, some of them are the same ones over and over and over. The jewelry pile is only so big. So some of them get sold off from other jewelry piles, but some of them just get added over to ridiculous amounts, to the point where they even surpass the number of materials even my best artifacts have. I'm curious. Let's see, we get Lamoon here, and I mean, so he's a legendary Marksdwarf from his years of experience. He's a dabbling armor user, because he's not in that kind of combat very much. He's a Grand Master Siege Operator, because so many of my dwarves were firing catapults in preparation of firing siege weapons at the entrances of our forts. Oh, that sadly were never used, because nothing sufficiently big enough or powerful enough attacked us that we ever had the need to use our advanced siege entrances. So that was one of the downsides of this fort, was we prepared to fight large quantities of goblins, which then never all attacked at the same time, so we never used our best giant cave spider defenses, for instance. But so he's a Grandmaster Siege Operator. He's legendary Discipline and Observer, Dabbling Fighter, legendary Archer. Oh, yeah, see, the thing is with meals is you can do it from so early. I can never resist trading meals my first year, or sometimes even my second year, because I'm so desperate for money. But at the same time, I've made a trade goods industry and the gem industry, not because it's practical, but just because it's fun. And if you trade up a few good gem crafters, you might get a legendary one early on. And then you can start banging out super artifacts or sales things early on too, which is perhaps equally gamey or more. But, oh, James is saying I should launch a dwarf for fun and science, which I easily could. I've got several drawbridges that they could be launched from, in the sense that I think they go up. But at the moment, I don't have anyone I dislike that much, and most of my drawbridges that go up also come down and smash. I don't think I have anyone I want to smash that much right now. I'll wait until someone really makes me mad. But yeah, so anyways, the siege engineer is a dabbling wrestler, dabbling striker. And why am I going through all these skills? It sounds kind of boring. Well, it's because I'm hoping to get to the funny ones. Like, oh, he's a furnace organizer. Oh, I guess this guy doesn't really have it. He's a dabbling appraiser. He'll tell you what your Antiques Roadshow artifact is worth. He's a dabbling organizer. Let's see. So, okay, so he doesn't have any of the really funny ones. What I was hoping for is some of my most advanced military guys are good at dancing, and not just good at it, but good at several dances. And then on top of that, they're good at poetry, and not just one form of poetry, but several. And I'm like, for the people who spend all their time on the surface swinging their axe, when on earth did you have time to become good at 5 different poems and 4 different dances? I mean, I haven't seen you doing it, but the only thing is they must have been doing it through time. They must have been dancing early on, and then the time I tried to make them dance, well, they probably did some of those times. And then some of the times they started to dance and then quit, and I just didn't see them because it happened so fast. And it all stacks up because there's a large number of times. Um, let's see. So let's see if I can maybe find someone. Well, I don't know. Maybe someone on the surface. Let's see. This is kind of bugging me. Um, oh, let me find one of my favorite people to talk about. Vet, the military captain. Let's see. Can we do kills? Yes. Now there's an interesting topic to talk about. Um, Vet is one of our most venerable, longest lived. Holy crap. Vet was there when we cracked into one of the lowest level of caves, and there were a few cave swallow people sitting there. I know this history so well, and I have the kind of memory so well. In Swampcavern's earliest years, we got reports of cave swallow people fighting monsters in the bottom of the caves that, I don't know, we couldn't even see so far as I'm aware, but somehow we got reports of them anyways. And when we cracked into the lowest level caves, I sent my army over to say hello to the cave swallow people to see if they were peaceful or not. They were not peaceful. They immediately got into a fight, and my dwarves killed the cave swallow people. And being 5 years in, my guys weren't that good at it, so they got hurt. But so Vet here killed one of the cave swallow people from the year 5 of the fort's history. He killed a beetle woman who, I'm sure the beetle people couldn't talk. Not all the giant or the animal people are hostile. But the thing is, the animal people had the habit of blundering into our cages. And sometimes when we let them out of the cages, they were angry about it. For instance, one time I sent a small group of my military to oversee the cage opening ceremony to let 5 lizard people go. And we let 5 lizard people go from cages we had accidentally trapped them in. And 4 of them had the wisdom to just walk away, to just flee off the map immediately. They probably had a directive to do so. But one of the lizard people took one step towards my military, my small squad. I didn't send the whole military, just one squad. And that squad said, "That's it. You look scary and hostile." And they killed him on the spot. And in all fairness, he probably was hostile. He was probably angry about the whole cage experience. Maybe I didn't let him out fast enough. Maybe he'd been there too many months. He was a little hungry or cranky or whatever. And so this guy may have been set to one of those cage opening ceremonies, and the beetle woman wasn't happy about it, and the vet said, "Well, let's settle this my way," with a bolt of steel, probably masterfully made. This guy killed Nosu Hateblunt the elf. This elf has a goblin name, so I guarantee you he was working for the goblins. And so I almost guarantee you that this was one of the leaders of a goblin siege on the fort. So this is a rare elf indeed. We don't get too many of these guys. For some reason, the goblins liked the elves for their leadership abilities. So many, or perhaps all of my sieges has always been led by an elf. There's a lot of conquered people in the goblins' territories. They've thrown a few goblins at me. They've thrown a bunch of humans at me. So Vet here, 5 notable kills, 107 other kills. I promise you, some of those 107 are also notable. Oh, yeah, I've got a person in the comments that mentions it's hilarious to sell out your clothing industry, to sell the caravans your dirty laundry. That's one of my favorite things to do in this game. We generate so much garbage, and we dump it off on the people in the caravans, and they cart it away. And the caravans like us because we accidentally sprinkle in, by mistake, a few valuable jewels or a few unused artifact level clothing items along with all the garbage clothing because we were too lazy to sort it out from the bins. And so that's kind of a recurring theme in the game. And I mean, I do that in other games as well. It's kind of a recurring theme. I do that in Kenshi. Sell all the garbage clothes to some other people so that you don't have to look at it or deal with it. Or in the case of Dwarf Fortress, have your game slow down because it exists. So the kills of that. One giant grasshopper. Those giant bugs are significant. I've seen a mosquito man swoop down and pick off a dog in one bite. Some of these animal people, especially the bug ones, are horrible monsters. I mean, the mosquito man, that's a terrifying thing. A giant grasshopper truly is a giant grasshopper. It's somewhere between the size of a dog and a buffalo. So keep that in mind. And because it's a grasshopper, it can fly or jump. He's killed ducks or drakes, which those are both forms of ducks in Dwarf Fortress. He's killed 2 giant slugs, not the most threatening thing ever, but they're giant. 8 bug bats. A bug bat is a flying creature that flies down and bites you. He's killed 13 Crundles personally. Just this one guy with bolts, 13 of these little red demon dudes that run around. Oh, and that was female Crundles. He's also killed 8 male Crundles in Swampcavern. He's killed a mosquito woman, 2 mosquito men. They fly. So this guy has picked out of the sky extremely hard to hit the flying objects. He's killed 2 trolls personally, 13 bug bats. I'm not going to go through this whole list. I'm just looking for the interesting ones. I'm not... Oh, can I see them all? Oh, I can see them all. 3 giant mantises. That's pretty good. Helmet snakes. Not the most scary things, but they're a little bit armored. 1 flesh ball in Swampcavern. Because we live in the crazier biomes, we see flesh balls. Have you ever seen a flesh ball in one of your worlds? Or a voracious cave crawler? Or a giant jumping spider? This particular biome is infested with giant jumping spiders. They are native to this region. Year 1, 2 giant jumping spiders. Every year since, couple giant jumping spiders. Year 25, this 25th year celebration anniversary of Swampcavern being founded, we unleashed a giant jumping spider for Crow Girl to fight, same as she did in year 1. And same as she did in year 1, she kicked its ass just even more. So, 1 giant bat in Swampcavern. So, okay, I'm going to stop talking about this guy's kills now. But it's just kind of a little sampler of, oh, there's so many crazy creatures in this fort. I'm thinking of sort of walking around Swampcavern, talking about its notable architectural features. Is anyone here interested in fantasy castles, or like hearing about castles or architecture? Because that's always kind of been part of my strong suit with this. I'm going to try to go for 15 more minutes. Oh, wait a minute. No, I blew past my goal some time ago. I've been broadcasting for 25 minutes. But I've got more viewers, and I have more to say, and I'm actually happy about this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow past my original goal. I think I'm going to record this in a 30-minute chunk. And then I think I'm going to call it quits for now and come back and do my second stream later on tonight. And I know I won't have the same people, but this has been going extremely well, and hopefully I'll just have different people then. So I know I'm zigzagging, I know I'm talking off the top of my head, but what the heck, that's how I built my fort and made all my decisions in the first place. So why not stream my fort the same way it was built and all my other decisions were done. I just saw a little thing flash across the screen. I can't help but point out the dwarves of Swampcavern have a lot of crazy monsters in their fort, and some of the crazy monsters are walking through the area where all my guys are doing their martial arts. So some of the animals are participating in that, however accidentally, because if anyone ever goes dodging through a bunch of these guys at once, they may collide with anything in their path, including the giant animals in, I mean, I'm tempted to call it on the dance floor here, but what I've done is I think there's a small wooden platform that they're all standing on and doing their martial arts around. So somewhere in there, there's some dogs or some giant cave spiders. One of the notable architectural things in Swampcavern is the animal training area. Oh, look, here's our stockpile of bolts for ballistas. We were going to fire ballista bolts down on our opponents if we ever gotten them in the right circumstances. Here is a person moving a cave spider around because we have too many stray giant cave spiders. So in an attempt to speed up the frames per second, we were going to go kill one. What's the thing I'm looking for here? I think I missed it already. Oh, this is it. Or is it? No, this isn't it. It's here somewhere. Bear with me. It's been so long. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so here we have a large underground pasture with a bunch of mushrooms growing in it for our giant elephants to eat. Giant elephants eat mushrooms, right? Sure they do. Here is a dragon. Swampcavern captured a dragon. There's only 2 of them in the entire world. Unfortunately, I think we live too far away from the one other one, which is a female, so in theory we could get a breeding pair of dragons, but in practice that's wildly unpractical and unlikely to happen. Yes, the Swampcavern is legendary for so many reasons. I mean, we've got adamantine-clad dwarves, we've killed hundreds of goblins, we've killed so many... We've literally depopulated the number of forgotten beasts in the world. As a smaller world, we only started with 100, and thanks to Swampcavern, we're down to 50, some of which probably can't get to us and we'll never see, and others will probably make a beeline for the fort if we ever advance time. I realize I haven't been advancing time lately, and I'm almost a little bit afraid to see what happens if I do, because this stuff is going to start happening immediately. Oh yeah, well, okay, that's another problem Daniel mentions here. 1,000 years till dragons reach adult size. This world isn't old enough to have dragons of adult size. We only have very young adult dragons, and so yeah, we couldn't even get a breeding pair unless we ran the world forward 750 years, which at our current 25 to 30 frames per second, which, oh, holy cow, that would be just punishing. That'd be brutal. My mentor would point out you could disable the alarms and then just leave the fort running overnight and leave it running for days, which is the sort of thing he would do. But holy cow, you'd be missing all those messages, all sorts of crazy things would be happening. In my case, sieges might be coming and going without me being there to look at it. Although actually, if you retired the fort, and then did another one, you could let time run forward, especially like if you did a little sealed bubble fort in a friendly biome, for instance. But yeah, I don't know, and that's all crazy gamey stuff. I'm not above. I might try that sometime. But anyways, I got sidetracked by some of our crazy creatures, so and I'm almost done with them. So what the heck? Let's just blow through them. This poor rock. We've had this rock from early days. We had this rock from before we had the dragon. I tried to hide her in some of my early videos so I wouldn't give away that we had a rock. A rock is one of the largest beasts in the game. It's an enormous bird. It's huge. We had all these different... this is our breeding cave spider pair. I don't know if we got the whole family going on in there, what, or still. But okay, we still got mom and dad giant cave spider. Over here we have some of our breeding pairs of stray war giant tigers. When I set out to make... yeah, perhaps by then we'll have quantum PCs. That's what we need. That would be the ultimate thing to run Dwarf Fortress on, would be single-core quantum PCs. So it could run thousands if possible of Dwarven worlds simultaneously or whatever, smoothly and flawlessly. Yeah, I've actually been following the improvements with quantum supercomputing and the various people competing across the world, and it's interesting to me. I mean, back in 1998, I was the kind of guy that could tell you all about the chip technology of the world, what was the best chip ever, what they cost, or whatever. And then I kind of stopped paying as much specific attention to that over the years, and got a little less focused on it, more into like the advanced technology and stuff. But yeah, I love the interesting discussions on the forums about what would be the ultimate single core Dwarf Fortress computer, for instance. I mean, there was one in just the last couple of days alone. So I don't know, if you're a technical minded person, interesting stuff. If you don't play Dwarf Fortress, but you come to my stream to hear about it and maybe not so much, let's see. Here's a bunch of bedrooms as an architectural feature. And the thing is, from noobs to professionals, I see a lot of people building the same kind of bedrooms, and mine look just like theirs. I mean, the dimensions vary, and the exact things that you put in the rooms do, and the size of the rooms vary. But it's the main principle. If you get these hallways, you get these branching effects. Where I'm going with this is they pretty much all look the same all the time. And I actually kind of like that. Some beginnings players' forts look like this. Some advanced players' forts look like this. Well, so do mine. Here is a hospital over here with beds, tables for operations, traction benches, to rest limbs. We've got plenty of materials in here. Because we've been hit by a whole series of werebeasts lately, we put in fortifications so we could lock the door of the hospital, and if any werebeasts were going to change, they could do it behind closed doors, and then archers could come around the corner and shoot the werebeasts. And the trick to that is you can't have the archers there too soon, because they might shoot a transforming dwarf. And if the guy isn't a werebeast yet, you may then cause a loyalty cascade because you shot one of your own dudes, and then you may have your own civilians versus those marks dwarves, and civilians versus trained military squads never goes well. So, and you can do this. You can shoot the people who've turned into the werebeasts. The thing is, you can't be sitting there waiting for it. The trick is you have to have them on hold, waiting around the corner, so the werebeasts transform first, and then you go and shoot them. No problems at all. Killing werebeasts, perfectly fine. Killing people as they transform, that can get tricky, and that can get you into trouble. So I've been enjoying doing this so much. We're into the 33-minute mark. We've blown way past my 20 minutes I said I was going to. You know what? I have almost as many people as I had before. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I really enjoy the support. I really appreciate you guys being here for me. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack on 17 minutes more. I'm going to have two 40-minute bursts. I think so long as I have people's attention, I'll just keep sitting here cruising and going and doing what I'm doing. Anyone wants to see something, shout out. Let me show you what you want to see. If there's something you're more interested in, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue with my tour of Who Are the People, Who is the Place. And I would turn time on and let time run. But like I've been saying, I'm afraid I will immediately get hit by a werebeast, a goblin invasion of not many, not enough to be real interesting, but 2 to 4, just enough to interrupt me and distract me again. And I would kind of enjoy actually being able to do some of my tour because, we have just so barely scratched the surface. Let's try to do that, I guess. Let's go up to the surface. Let's go up to the top of the swamp cavern and talk about why it looks like the way it does. Swampcavern has these tall towers with these decorative statues around it of people from our fort. Most of these statues are of the founding of Swampcavern, so I feel no need to elaborate on them. A few of them are some of our favorite people. Nothing super remarkable there. Below that is an area with fortifications and solid walls. And if you've ever seen the thumbnails of Swamp Cavern, it has this distinct look of these tall towers with little places that you can shoot out of. And if these fortifications just ran all the way around, it wouldn't look the way it does. And this is a thing I did deliberately, knowing the way that it would appear on Armok Vision. I mixed fortifications with walls just for the way that they would break things up. A more practical design would be to have fortifications that ran just all the way around, which, we'll go back. What are we doing here? What I'm doing is, on this level, that is what we did. The fortifications do run all the way around because this fort was made to function well, not just look pretty, but it was also made to look pretty. I mean, I've had filled in forts before where I completely sealed in over the roof. This one, I sealed in the archers. Here is a level where the archers can run around, they can shoot out of any corner, they can shoot out of any side at any place. But above them is a ceiling. They are roofed in. They cannot climb over these walls. There is more walls above them as an additional obstacle. Because as a lot of the people who play Dwarf Fortress are aware, the crossbow guys are a little bit crazy, and they want to go and bash people over their heads with their crossbows as much or more as they want to fire those crossbows. So in this fort, these guys are not only just completely sealed in, but if they want to get away from the crossbow firing area, they have to go down and down and down and down. And, well, actually, I'm accidentally going up. But they'd have to go down from the fortification area, down to where the stairs are, and then come up an entirely different set of stairs. The goal being to make them, the path being so far away to whatever they're shooting at, that they would just as well be happy sitting there and shooting it with their crossbow, rather than giving them a short, direct path for them to run across it and bash them with their crossbow. Because, let's face it, the expert Marks dwarves are far, far more effective firing their bullets than they are hitting things with their, admittedly, steel, masterfully made crossbows. So, I've covered the tops of the towers. My guys actually have gone up here to fire at mosquito men. They've gone up here to fire at the flying bugs. On this side of the fort, for whatever reason, the migration path, I'm waving my hand like I have the camera going, up here, can you see the cursor? And if not, in a few minutes, hopefully you can, because I see the camera is following. Anyway, the migration path is a lot of things come up here, fly down south, and then go south down there. And when those things are relatively harmless things like birds, that's fine. When they're things like the mosquito men, occasionally they drive everybody in the fort absolutely insane. My little guys who are on the top few levels somehow see through all the dirt, see through all the fort, and they start panicking. Oh no, mosquito man, run, be crazy. And so it screws up people carrying things, and even my own military guys might go nuts and either be afraid of it or run around trying to attack it when they can't possibly because it's way too high up in the air. So there have been times when I've sent groups of crossbow guys to these towers up here, and they've gained experience, and they've helped the fort at the same time. And especially when large numbers of malicious enemies show up, that's when these towers have proven to be actually useful. But let's face it, that only happened a couple times over this fort's entire history. For the most part, these towers are largely decorative, and this area down here with the fortifications is where the rubber has really met the road. Goblins have come from different directions, but they mostly come from this side area of the fort. The underground, I'm waving the cursor around here, hopefully the camera catches up. The underground area was the first and one of the main entrances to Swamp Cavern, and the other main entrance is down over here. And this main entrance is meant to be huge. It's 5 blocks long with a little thing in the middle, and it is a large drawbridge that we can open or close. Come to think of it, Jimmy, if you're still around, we probably could launch a dwarf off this thing if we found someone we disliked enough. It's also backed up by doors. And I like this belt and suspenders approach. I use it again and again, not always immediately by itself, but here it is twice in a row. What you have here is the original lower entrance to the fort runs through here, and um, and we can block that off. So what happens is bad guys appear down from the south. I'm waving the cursor south. We block off the lower entrance because it's not as good. And we block off the trade entrance. Everything literally has to walk through here. We can shoot them with crossbows from the south. We can shoot them from crossbows as they go around the corner. And then, holy crap, you have to deal with the people in the middle that are just sitting there waiting for you. And it's difficult to get them to wait, but it can be done. Sometimes I pull them back further to the former farm area, which I should touch on. These are all ruined fields because we let the farming area lapse because we just don't need the farms anymore. And so I've heard the term defense in depth, and this is defense in so much depth. This is holy crap levels of depth. Because if we ever really had the siege of our dreams, we have the backup entrance down here. And what this is, we never got to fire this in anger, much as we prepared people for this. Oh, wow. I just keep extending my own goals, and I just keep getting more people watching. And I am just having so much fun. I guess I'm going to keep going. I'm going to see if I can hit an hour on my hard drive space. Gee, I really hope I can. It'd be pretty unfortunate if I couldn't. But I just keep getting more and more viewers. So, all right. Fingers crossed. I know I'm really asking for it, but I know also from my recent experiences recording with my mentor, I think at the 720p resolution, I can record quite a bit. I mean, I should, in theory, be able to record several hours of hard drive, but oh, it's my flash drive. It's the tiniest one. It's the best for recording, but that's what makes it the tiniest. All right. A lot of people know I'm rambling and have no idea what I'm talking about. Back to the architecture of the siege entrances of Swampcavern, and why it's sad this was never fired in anger. We have here two ballistas with bolts ready to fire, ready to go. If we ever funneled a few hundred goblins down here, we could have fired across this long thing and just turned into absolute pulp anything that came down this ramp. And there's a thing in the game where the goofy civilians that are required to fire the siege engines will run in a military situation unless they're blind and they can't see the monsters coming at them. And I had the, air quotes, good fortune of having some of my military guys get sprinkled with deadly dust, which made them all go blind and become much worse soldiers. But that made them suitable for being fired from the military, dumped into the civilian squad of people who fire the ballistas and then wouldn't run away from monsters. So I had an entire team of people training to fire the siege weapons until they were great at it. Although, amusingly enough, that caused casualties. I think I injured about a third of my fort because I was recycling the rocks that I was using with catapults, and they were walking up to where the rocks were falling down from above, standing in the square that rocks would fall in, and then they would get injured, some a little, some a lot, and then because of the nature of their injuries, it wasn't combat or whatever, they wouldn't seek medical treatment of any kind. So there was a time when a third of my fort was injured, and I didn't know why, but I could guess that it was this massive training thing I had going on where I had a lot of people training, and I had a lot of people fetching rocks because I was recycling the rocks over and over so that they wouldn't have to walk too far to get them. And when I turned that off, the injuries stopped, or so far as I could tell at least. So I have very good reason to believe that. I would like to thank all my viewers. I'd like to thank my friends. I'd like to thank the people who find me across YouTube. I'd really like to kind of start a regular thing and have kind of a community going here. Where I live, it's cold in winter and bleak, and where Swampcavern lives, it's a hot tropical jungle. It used to be a swamp, but now it's filled with 10-story tall trees. So really, technically, it's a jungle now, although also it's actually still a swamp because of the biome type and the animals that would be running through here. So I'd like to invite everyone to come along with me and to bask in the imaginary warmth of a castle, a fortress that's hot, probably above and also probably down below. I know I've been talking about the top of Swampcavern. Hey, thank you very much, viewers. I really appreciate it. It's not easy. It's new to me, and I can only keep going for so long. So I'm gonna make part 2 be an hour long here. I've decided. So you guys have got 15 more minutes of nervous, shaky rambling, but I'm having fun. You guys are having fun. Let's just keep going with it. Let's see. Trying to remember my own hotkeys here. Actually, maybe looking at H will remind me. Yeah, I got to stay away from some of these. Let's see. Maybe this is not a bad way to do it. I'm not sure. You want to check out some of the housing and some of the mines? Yeah, all right, let's go look at that. One of the first things we built in Swampcavern was kind of the common room. And when I dig it out, I dig out a barracks very quickly, or I mean, kind of a communal sleeping area. I build out a farm very quickly. So here's the farm. It's on the same level as the training area. And then I sort of pick where I want the bedrooms to be and the some of the living floors to be and some of the workshops all at the same time. And then a lot of these staircases are built only long after the fact when they're useful for other places. Trying to find that original sleeping room. I know it's around here somewhere. Well, anyways, one thing that happens is the nobles' rooms get sprinkled in with the all the other bedrooms. Oh, and here's a particularly good example. Oh no, I am so happy to answer any questions you have. If you have any questions about why I do some of the stuff I do or how I did some of the stuff I do, please jump in because I'm very happy to help the community. I'd like to point out that these bedrooms have glass windows that look out over the tavern. As I mentioned in part 1, this tavern is 10 stories tall with mushrooms that haven't fully grown up to the ceiling yet due to age. And the very top levels of rooms have glass windows that look out into it so that some favored, some just purely lucky dwarves have bedrooms with a view of the tavern. So that's one thing that's going on in this fort. Over here is the iron and anvil and bucket stockpile. Let's see, you were wondering about the mines. I'll have to get onto that. I'm still doing the bedrooms a little bit. I wanted to get an example of the nobles mixed in. Oh, well, here we have a lot of the stockpiles, and they're sort of next to the levels of the taverns that they serve. So some of the people who go to the taverns are going to want to get a drink or food from the stockpiles by them. And so I set it up so that the workshops are by where they sleep is by where they eat, and where they eat is by the stockpiles of food. And it's all as close to each other as it can be, basically. Oh, okay, here's a perfect example. I think this is the Duke of Swampcavern stuff over here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. That's Aquaman's, I guess that's, which one is it? I forget. One of these is a bedroom, one of these is a meeting room. Oh, this is the meeting room, because that's where he's constantly having meetings with the elf diplomat. Let's see, what is this? Oh, over here we have some of the fancier bedrooms for the mayors, and you can tell it's the fancier ones because it's bigger and full of even more crap. For instance, you've got statues, you've got the required weapon stands, you've got the required armor storage. Let's see. Some of these things are marble. The reason these things are gold is they really are actually gold. What do we got here? Which ones are these? Somewhere we have a list of statues that we like, but also somewhere we have a list of statues that we don't like. And I've forgotten which ones these are. Let's find out. This is a masterful marble statue of Sloth Spear. Guess what they like? My naming convention. They like sloths and spears. If you can't tell. Created by Sheep Yak. Oh, gee. The item is a masterfully designed image of Sloth Spear the dwarf and a cave spider silk cloth in marble. He is raising it. Oh, he's triumphant. It's some sort of artifact that the guy made in a inspired. Or perhaps it's just a legendary level artifact. I could go either way on that. In the year 140, which was 15 years into, so that would have been a very well-established fort. These must be a batch of statues that we do like, because that's a good one. Actually, I could mention that over here is, we tried building a calendar of events, and then partway through Swampcavern's history, the version changed, and the way things are displayed changed. And the whole museum got permanently screwed up like this. And there is a way to fix it, sort of, which would be to turn off all these icons, and they would all look like this. But, yeah, I don't know. It's an artifact of Swampcavern surviving over many different versions, taking it all the way up to just before being able to raid other places. Don't worry, I am going to get to the mines. I think I'm just about finished with some of the sleeping quarters and stuff. Yeah, here's some ones that never quite got all their things in them. Let's see. Okay, I see I'm getting some good views and some good playbacks, and some people are checking this out. To really go down in, oh, there's the burial chamber in area. We have several different kinds of mines because there's a lot of marble in this world. So we have huge areas where we vacuumed up lots of marble for use in steel production. Let's see. Actually, the adamantine mine is interesting because the third cavern layer is the hell of mushrooms. It's very tall, it's very vertical, and Swampcavern was blessed by sitting on top of a literal mountain of adamantine, which I have never seen anything like it before in any other Dwarf Fortress game ever. I mean, I know it happens sometimes, and Swampcavern is living on a fairly large map for me. I went for a small world with a slightly larger embankment than I usually do. That was part of the fun. Let's see, so, I mean, we have silver mines because some levels had lots of silver on them. Oh, okay, so like this, for instance, here's an indicator that silver. I think the playback is slow to catch up, but it's going to get there eventually. What I'm looking for is examples of my branch mines, because, oh, okay, here is one. This is a, it's just purely marble mine. We mined all this marble and we turned it into steel, we turned it into statues, we turned it into walls. Probably mostly steel, quite frankly, because we had the steel early industry and early and often, and then I've been making lots of steel bolts throughout history. So, is that an example? Yeah. I don't know what was on this level, possibly gold, possibly iron, possibly coal. This is how I do branch mining, and a better player than me would have gone through and put doors or walls and just sealed off all of these branches when they were done with whatever it was I was doing here. Hey, all right, I see some of my dudes are going. I'll catch you later. Hello to more viewers who are checking in. Thanks very much for my friends. Thanks for sticking with me for so long. I never intended to go this long, but things have been going great. So thank you very much, and I will see you later. Welcome new viewers who are just popping in. I had a request to see the bedrooms and the mines, so I'm doing the mines now because when we get down to the adamantine layers, it's actually going to be kind of interesting because I couldn't mine them in a conventional sense. I had to make a bizarre series of catwalks and ladders and stairs just to get to them. It was a way forgotten beasts could get into my fort, so I had to seal off the old adamantine mines when I was done with them. I ran out of adamantine mines, and it's actually going to be possible to go in there, cut off the bottom of the base, and mine more if I really wanted to. The only thing is I don't know at what level to cut off the base, and there is an in-game way of figuring out which layer to do it without letting all the demons free. It's a little gamey, but I don't want to set the demons free so badly in any way at the moment that I wouldn't want to take a chance. And I don't know if you haven't heard of that before. The adamantine layers lead all the way down to the lowest levels of the game map where the demons live. And if you crack it open, they will come up and fight you, and they are powerful, and they are mighty. And even the dwarves of Swampcavern wouldn't really stand a chance against them unless we built some special fighting arenas so the dwarves could stand in water so that all the fireballs the demons cast on them wouldn't kill them instantly. And even then, the dwarves would hesitate to fight through all the smoke and steam, and it would be a trouble. To really fight the demons, we'd have to build traps or build a thing for our crossbow guys to shoot at them. And even then, the demons would shoot back. It's just not a thing that you do lightly, basically. And so, for players who play Dwarf Fortress, the in-game way to check that is you can build crenellations through adamantine, which allows you to see through it. So if there is bad stuff on the other side, if you build crenellations, you can see through to the next block. And if the next block has nothing there, you can mine the crenellation, get the adamantine, and then build another crenellation or fortification, whichever term you want to use, and again see it. And the only problem is, if you've guessed wrong and you are about to crack into the hell levels, the demons will come out. They just can't get to you. They can't on their own or easily fly through the fortifications. They can do it by mistake. They can do it if there's water flowing through it. But in the case of bars, but they can't do it on purpose. And so I'm not sure they could even do it easily or at all. But the thing is, it hurts your FPS because you've got 20 guys constantly buzzing around, more on the screen. Or did I say 20? I don't know, maybe 100. It's a lot. It's enough to wipe out your dudes pretty easily. So anyways, I'm going to continue my tour by heading down a little bit. There are 3 cave levels in Swampcavern. Auto water gun. Yeah, see, that's just it. I've never made a shotgun, a minecart shotgun. I've never made like a lava thing. I haven't. The one thing in Dwarf Fortress I haven't done yet. Even Swampcavern was quite the learning experience for me because I haven't really done minecarts. I haven't done power systems in the form of water mills or windmills, and I haven't done the lava shotguns or the lava guns or even the lava pouring systems. I did toy around with dropping large quantities of lava on things, and it's fun. but the problem is, if you do it on the surface, you light the landscape on fire, and that's a problem on its own. It's tricky to use. Sometimes it's hard to get your enemies to hold still where you're going to drop the lava on them. And I've never combined doing it on the surface with doing it with large quantities of enemies. Although someday I promise I will, and I'll do it for my viewers because it will be tremendously fun. So here we are in one of the crazy mushroom levels where I built stairs and I chopped down mushrooms so that my guys could navigate, so that they could fight the things that were down there and get practice. Okay, we've gotten all the way down to the forging area. So Swamp Cavern's forging area is midway between the top of the surface and all the way down by the lava. And it has a huge series of lava pumps to bring it up to this level, because that's the kind of thing I'm good at. That's the kind of thing I have experience at. I'm really good with the water flow. I'm really good with the lava flow in this game. I can divert rivers. I can destroy lakes. I can drain lakes. I have accidentally just drained lakes, mining for adamantine, for instance. So sort of down towards the bottom, but not so far where my guys have to carry things so terribly far, is a huge series of lava-powered magma smelters and magma furnaces with artistically arranged stockpiles of things that they might need in those things, and much, much less decorative but more practical stockpiles just one level above them. Here's the adamantine workshop area. All of this was just so that teams of dwarves, 3 per workshop, not that I was fussy about who did what, could work 24 hours a day. If we were bringing in adamantine, we could have all the workshops strand extracting all the time. For my non-Dwarf Fortress people, this is how we built the super armor. It's not like in Minecraft where you get the blue diamonds from the bottom of the world. This is Dwarf Fortress where you get the blue adamantine from the bottom of the world. Then you have to extract the strands from it. Then you have to cook the strands. And then you can make biscuits with that. Or I mean armor and weapons. But so continuing going down, this is where the adamantine levels were going to be. And let's see. All right, we're hitting the hour mark. I really am going to quit pretty soon. We're down into the levels of the magma sea. We're down to the levels where the adamantine starts. So actually, I should be going up a little bit, or let's take a look. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is one of several strands of adamantine in the fort, and it starts down low, and I've mined around it, and I've made a series of stairs so that my guys can not only go to it, they can go up and down directly around it. And there's not just one, but various routes back to the stairs. And they're not routes that are nice and have 90-degree angles. They're all routes that go as directly as possible. I usually stray away from one thick hallways. I usually like 2 or 3 thick hallways. But in the case of this, where we're never supposed to be sending a whole lot of people at once, 1 thick hallways were fine. So, and have you noticed how many levels I've been going up and down on this Tower of Adamantine? I've already gone up several already. There's another one. Oh, okay, here there used to be one, but it was mined out completely. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. This doesn't stop. Oh, until you get all the way up to the bottom of the 3rd layer. But some of these other ones did punch through this cave layer. So I can keep going and find some other adamantine towers that go through caves, if that's not boring. I mean, is it something you guys have seen before? Is it something you've ever seen before? That's kind of how I'm hoping to keep this fresh and interesting, is show my viewers stuff they don't normally do, or stuff that's kind of end game content you don't get to that often. Let's see. So yeah, like I was saying, this is kind of a bigger embark. So this is actually more screen than I'm used to, although it's kind of my new standard. I'm kind of starting to like larger embarks. And I'm willing to trade the number of dwarves around to do it. But, okay, 5 minutes over. I keep saying I'm going to quit and then I don't. I keep saying I'm going to quit and then I don't. I really do have to quit for the sake of my voice. Oh, here's that adamantine I was searching for. That just keeps going up and up and up and up. And it used to be there. It used to be there. It used to be there. You see these stairs? Those stairs was so I could mine adamantine. There's more. There's more. There's more. Oh, these ridiculous platforms. Boy, that takes me back. All right. Thank you very much who's stuck with me. The size of the map, I think it's a 3 by 4. I think it's, let's see, what happens if I go to the surface and zoom out? I think eventually you can see the whole thing. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that's like a 3 by 4, something like that. That's about as big as I'm comfortable with. Uh, so anyways, this was the tiger trap. I used to try to catch either the regular sized tigers or if any giant sized tigers ever wandered through here. Again, a lot of stuff wandered from north to south. So this was the logical place to put that. There's another underground one over here, exact same thing. This was never used to catch tigers, but it did catch goblins one time. All right. Well, I got a bunch of views. I got a bunch of people watching me. Thank you, everyone who tuned in for this. You know, I really appreciate you watching me. This is my second stream ever. I think I did pretty well. You guys did great. You get comfortable asking me questions. Get comfortable tuning in because this went so well. Believe me, I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to do this again soon. So thanks everyone out for turning out for me. I'm blown away. Other starting streamers, I know most people don't have this many views out of the gate, so I really appreciate it. This is just fun for me. It's kind of a dream come true. I'm hoping maybe it'll lead to being a new career I kind of never dreamed possible. So thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.